Hey, Joe Gilder here. I'll keep this quick. Got a funny story and a quick lesson. Working on a mix here, and I'm in the static phase of the mix, so I've not added almost any plugins. I think I threw a compressor on one thing to tame it down, but I've spent the last almost 2 hours just setting levels and panning. It's not even a huge song, and figuring out where things are going to go in the mix. And I want to stress how important that is. It's just massively important. Before you jump into all your favorite plugins, take time to get the levels where they need to be, because otherwise, what's the point, right? And to me, this is the favorite part of the process. So here's where the funny story comes in. There are 9 electric guitar tracks in this song. And during this bridge section, we've got at least 7 of them playing. And I was trying to figure out where they're going to go in the mix, level-wise and panning-wise. And initially, you look at these and you think, okay, these two go together. I'll pan those left and right. I'll pan these left and right. I'll pan these left and right. And that one will go in the middle. And I did that, and I thought it sounded good. And then I messed around with maybe panning this one in the center, this one to the left, this one in the center, this one to the right, and these panned left and right, and then this one to the right, I think, because it matched the signal here, the tone of that. And I thought, you know what, that sounds way better. So I was going to do this video, and I exported my original panning decisions, and then which I labeled bad panning, and then I exported the one where they weren't doubled up, so I had the couple of the doubles here, one pan to the middle, because I thought that sounded better. I was getting ready to shoot the video and listen back and forth between the two, and I liked the bad panning better than the good panning. Point being, even though I was going to say don't always default to panning things like this, just left and right opposite each other. If you have too much of that going on, you lose the goodness of the width that you're getting there. That's more of a recording tip than a mixing tip, really. But what happened was I was trying to do something different just on principle, and thankfully I was going to shoot this video and took the time to listen back between the two and realized that the original way I had it panned actually worked better in the mix. So just real quick, I'll let you hear kind of what the parts sound like and what I ended up. This is kind of the final, at least for now, where I've ended up panning everything. So as you can hear, it stays wide, and then things keep being introduced on the left and then on the right, and it kind of is very interesting to listen to. Originally, I had this one panned in the middle, this one panned in the middle with these around it, and while that may have worked a little better in mono, and it sounded louder and thicker in the middle, the edges, it got completely boring and lifeless and weak, and the whole mix started to sound way more mono than I wanted. So slamming all these tracks hard left and right worked really well, especially when this is kind of a bridge section building up into a chorus, especially here at bar 54 where it starts to really kick in. That's where I feel like having these come in louder than everything else, panned hard left and right, really gives it that oomph that I was hoping for. Here's what that sounds like. And then it changes feel when it breaks into that halftime section. But anyway, all this to say, it's certainly not mixed. I've not EQ'd anything. There's plenty of work to be done on this. But point being, if I'm spending upwards of 1 to 2 hours just getting levels and panning and really just feeling the song, then it's okay if you do that as well. Don't feel like you gotta jump to plugins right off the bat. The whole plugin thing will go a lot smoother and more quickly because I've got this in place. I don't foresee taking more than an hour or two to finish this off because I invested all this time on the front end. Does that make sense? If you have any questions, leave them below, or if you hated what I did, let me know. And that's it. That's all I got. See you tomorrow.